Hey everyone, welcome to the Civitai stream. Thank you very much for joining us today. So we have some special guests today. Thanks for joining us. Special guests are the Run Diffusion team, Juggernaut team. We're going to talk about all things Juggernaut. Anyone in the ecosystem, who's played with Civitai, has played with Stable Diffusion, knows what Juggernaut is. So super excited to get these guys on, tell us, the insider story and some of the news. They've got some big developments coming up. First of all, Run Diffusion, you might not be aware of who and what Run Diffusion are. It's a kind of AI apps and services platform. They have all the top SD interfaces in the cloud. So if you don't have the compute to train with Koya or to run SD Next or Invoke, these guys make it super, super simple to get started. They're also the hosts of the developer Can-Do AI's Juggernaut model. So Juggernaut, phenomenal stats. Let's just have a look at that right here. A whole range of models. Look at these stats here. 16 million on-site generations, 573,000 downloads on Civitai alone. A new follower, thanks. Huge stats, phenomenally popular and phenomenally well-known. I would say perhaps one of the best-known models in the whole, Stable Diffusion ecosystem. And that's just on, Civitai's platform. Thank you so much, new followers. Look at this version, Juggernaut X. It was released April 19th, phenomenally, overwhelmingly positive reviews, and the quality of the images, the image fidelity is just, unrivaled in, for SDXL, the SDXL model space, I would say. So today we have our guests, Darren and Adam from Run Diffusion. Darren is the co-founder, CTO, and he's in charge of strategy, marketing, and sourcing tech partners, that sort of thing. And Adam is the model tester and prompt creator for the team Juggernaut. He manages their socials, and he does a lot of work with the models itself, with the captioning, with the training, with the testing, and creating these beautiful images here. So they're going to tell us a little bit about how this all works. So welcome, guys. Let me get your audio turned on.
Thank you.
Hey, pleased to have you with us. It's
happy to be here.
Super exciting to finally bring you on the stream because, you guys have been around for a long time. Juggernaut's been around for a long time. And yeah, how have you been? How's it been going? It's been an exciting past few months for everyone. And, with SD3 coming up, it's going to be even more exciting.
Oh, absolutely. It's been kind of a wild ride being on this side, trying to predict the future of where everything's going to end up in, 3 to 4 weeks from now. We got SD3 launching soon, and that's got us kind of in a hurry up and wait mode, if that makes any sense at all. We don't really know what SD3's plans are or Stability AI's plans are, but what we're doing is we're just getting ready quickly.
Right.
That way, when everything happens, we can move fast. So that's getting our training data ready, captions ready, compute ready, distribution ready. Like, we're going to hit the ground extremely hard here. So that's the goal. But yeah, it's been wild ever since back in February when they first started teasing, SD3. A lot of questions, and then kind of the drama went down. We're just in a wait mode.
Right.
It's still
absolutely
pretty wild. Yeah.
We'll talk about the future in the future, but for now, let's get started with a few questions. Tell us a little bit about yourselves, about your background. How did you both become involved in Stable Diffusion, and how did Run Diffusion come around?
Oh, that's a great question. It's definitely a story we love telling. I would say about 2 years ago is when my journey in Stable Diffusion, or at least generative image models, generative image started. It was about July or August of 2022. I was on Twitter and somebody mentioned you can create magical images with text, and I'm like, this is amazing. So I started looking at how to do this. I am a programmer of 15 years, going on, 16, 17 years total. And I came across some open source projects that used Python to get things up and running, and I was like, this is crazy. I was able to get my first kind of image generated. I think it was a cow. I don't know if everyone remembers their first image they ever typed in to Stable Diffusion, but I do. And it was just like a cow, and I got a cow. So it was pretty exciting knowing that you can just talk to an image and have it be created in your, in front of your eyes. I didn't have a really good graphics card, so the first thing I did was go online and try and find out how to do this using some API, if somebody was creating one. About a month went by, and then Replicate started putting all of these up into their platform. And that was like kind of where the cloud piece started. And then I joined the Stable Diffusion subreddit, started talking to people, trying to figure out where this was all going, where this was headed. And all we saw were, how do you run this? How do you get this going? How do I launch this? What do I do? Where do I start?
Yep.
It was every other post on that subreddit was an error about, diffusers or some type of Python library somebody was trying to run. And immediately I'm kind of scratching my head going, this needs to be cloud. Like, this needs to be accessible.
Sure.
And then RunPod started doing their thing with templates. RunPod's fantastic. We have a good relationship with them. We talk with them. And I started using RunPod, but it was kind of, this is going to be a nerdy term, but it's ephemeral, meaning that when you spin it down, everything's gone.
Right.
And it's like, that was really hard to get in, upload your models, and then shut it down, and you have to do that all over again. So I was like, there's got to be a better way. And RunPod was very inexpensive. So, and that's why, because they didn't have some type of persistence. So from there, that's kind of where Run Diffusion was born. So I got some other tech co-founders involved, and I was like, I have this idea, let's build it. We built it, launched in December of 2022, and we've just been on a rocket ship ever since, just playing with the coolest tech, I think, in my lifetime. I mean, I was around during the .com bubble, but I just don't feel like the .com thing, I don't want to call this a bubble, but I don't feel like the .com craze is really this impactful. I mean, Stable Diffusion or just diffusion models or creating images out of prompts is very different than maybe going to a website when the year 2000 hit. I feel like this is a little bit more impactful to a lot more individuals.
Oh yeah.
So it was really exciting to be a part of that.
Absolutely, I agree with that. Yeah, so many people can now just come and make their own stuff. Anyone can be a creator now, and you guys have really facilitated that. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So
we have all sorts of products and services that we help a lot of companies and individuals just get rolling and just get started. Auto 1111 is the one that everyone's using, but we've got a lot more that you can use, like Focus. Like you said, Comfy, Invoke. You already mentioned some of those. So that's kind of our niche, is making sure they're accessible. We download all the control nets are available. We have 50, 60 models available. We've got the motion models for Animate Diff. We've got, like, everything is already there. You don't have to go and source. We got all the upscalers. I think we have like 30 upscalers that you can use. So if you were to replicate what we do on your own computer, you would need like a 5 terabyte hard drive. Sure. So it's just like not even possible.
That was going to be one of my next questions, was that why would somebody choose Run Diffusion over, say, Google Colab? And you already touched on that. So it's Colab. Yeah. You need a lot of knowledge. You need a lot of expertise. There's questions going to be asked. There's technical things which you guys I see have overcome by offering a kind of more managed service.
Right. And we actually contribute a lot to these open source products. A lot of we have members on our team who are original contributors to Auto 1111. We have the new Almost UI that just came out from the makers of Focus and ControlNet. We immediately pushed some updates for some quality of life changes where you can actually change the model now. So you can use a different model on the back end of Almost. We have a pull request coming in from there. Like, we are very active. Obviously, we get into the Juggernaut. We'll talk about Juggernaut here soon. But yeah, we release open source models. So we really do try and give back. We're at the forefront here. We like to call ourselves pioneers because really the book has not been written on how to do all this stuff. So we're kind of building the plane as we fly it. And that's really tough to do in an emerging, industry like this. We want to skirt the line of giving everything of value away for free, but also still try and sustain a business so we can continue to, pay for the people doing this. Because that's a big piece of my mentality is, nobody really should provide tons of value and have to eat, top ramen or noodles every day. Like they should, like that's our goal is you should be rewarded. And
Sure.
if that means, financially, then that's fair too. But yeah, we're really excited to be in this space that we're in. And we just want people to know that we do contribute quite a bit and we will always do that.
Awesome. Perfect. So Can Do AI. Many people on Civitai know the name, know the creator of the creator of Juggernaut. So he's not available to chat with us, but can you tell us a little about their background and how?
Yes.
Sorry, Adam, go ahead. Tell us a little bit about Can Do.
Yeah, so I'll introduce myself real quick. My name's Adam. I am the primary model tester for Juggernaut, Team Juggernaut, and Can Do is really shy, guys. So I volunteered to talk on his behalf with Darren to get to know everybody and kind of share a little bit about his story and what he was doing and all the amazing stuff that he's been up to. And so Can Do kind of started out with AI to kind of clear his head, beginning back with like a Blue Willow, and later discovering Stable Diffusion. So like kind of his journey continued through like various platforms until he landed. I think his first model was on Civitai in like March about 2023.
Yep.
And so that's where he kind of got going. But it was really just started to clear his head, and he just kind of like got into it and got kind of obsessed with it in a good way. And so we really appreciate him doing that, starting from then until now.
Yeah, the evolution of Juggernaut's been really fantastic to see on Civitai. So it was an instant hit when the first version dropped. And I think that was version 1 was like around about August. And it had good stats for the time, bearing in mind that there weren't many users on Civitai way back then. But I think October 2023, version 6 is when it really took off and became pretty much like a household name, I guess you could say. And then version 7, version 8, version 9, you kind of Can Do's really in his stride, and these are all hugely successful models.
Well, let me touch on that a little bit.
Sure.
So we Can Do got involved with Run Diffusion, I think, around version 6.
Okay.
I didn't get onto the team until version 7. Darren brought me in because they needed a model tester. And so I started volunteering around version 7. And so I think part of that taking off was that merging with Run Diffusion Photo, merging with Juggernaut. And it was such a beautiful combination, the two of them together. It just took off like wildfire. I mean, because Can Do already had this beautiful base that he had developed, and he had so much community support because he was just giving it away, and he's put his whole heart in it. And you can see the progress too. Every model he puts out, he adds another layer, and he doesn't put out anything just to put it out. Right. He'll toss it aside if it's not exactly what he wants. And we've gone through things like that where he's like, no, I'm not happy with this. We're gonna just toss it away, Adam. Delete that one. Here's another one. And he'll give me a new model to test. And I'll find something. He's like, nope, I don't like this one. He throws it away. He gives me another one. And he'll do this with me over and over until we get it just right. And we started that kind of collaboration around version 7 is when we really got. And he teases me, calls me the supervillain because I'm always breaking his models and trying to find holes in them. But that's my job. I got to find the holes in them. And because if I don't find them, the community finds them, and then it's we get a lot of feedback. And so we want to make sure I just run them through the ringer, and then he just works his magic in the background. Like he'll go radio silent on me for like a week, and then all of a sudden, boom, Adam, I got something for you.
Sure.
It's just fireworks, you know. It's a lot of fun. The process that we have, Darren will kind of check in on us, like, oh, okay, I'll just, you know, because we just have
I'll let you
100
guys
new
do your
images. You know, because we'll just spam the chat when we're going back and forth. We're just putting image after image at each other, like, well, what about this? How's the eyes? How's the lips?
Sure.
And that really started around version 7 is when we really had that good connection. It just took off as friends, and we've just been improving it since then. And you could see it all the way up to version 9, where that was kind of the apex of the old captioning style.
Okay.
And it was around that time that we made that switch to X. And I don't know if you noticed that there was a big change where we decided, you know what, we're going to try to bring it back and recaption. And so we started going over the data set again and recaptioning everything. And we pulled 3 APIs because it was to get it done correctly. Like Darren had one, I had one, Candu had one, and we just cranked out that data set as fast as we could so that we could do the new training. And Candu was really cool about it because he would give us updates daily, like here's where the training's at, and we just watched the progress. It was so cool. So that's how we got from version 6 to 10.
Sure.
It was a little bit of a journey, but it was fun.
That's super interesting. And what you touched on there, the quality control is certainly visible because, you know, there's been quite a few versions, and it's pretty rare actually to see such continued success across so many versions for a single model. So what you are releasing is definitely quality work, and it's nice that you take the time to to discard the ones which don't quite make the cut. That's
well, I think that's a team effort. Candu made a rule. So Darren was really cool because when he brought me in to help model test it, to really so that Candu could have more time actually doing the training, it really freed him up to just focus on training. And one of the things that Candu implemented was a rule that we all 3 of us had to approve of the model before it went out. So it's not just me, it's not just Candu, it's not just Darren. We all 3 of us had to say, yeah, this is good. Right. And then when we all agreed, we put out the model. If we didn't all agree, we said, okay, well, what do we need to change? How do we need to change it? And we would go back to the drawing board, we'd fix it, we'd make it better. And we'd always try to give a better model than the last one we put out.
Sure. Perfect. I mean, it's proof of the pudding. It looks fantastic. Stepping back real quickly, yes. Just jumping back. So Candu was out there. He made the first bunch of models, put them on Civitai, got some success. How did the Run Diffusion partnership come around? Was that something that he'd seen Run Diffusion, he approached you guys, or what was the
I'll let Darren handle that one.
Yeah, that's a good question. It was kind of twofold. So we have our Run Diffusion photo model that is not open sourced. The reason for that is it was really, really good. We had it in about September, and it was just surpassing anything we'd ever seen. So we hung on to it just because again, once you let the cat out of the bag, there's no bringing it back in. So I decided that I could take this model because it merged so well. Okay. We have it in dozens of merges with creators that we work with, and it added such photorealistic people. It was absolutely fantastic. We were actually on the All In podcast with Chamath. We were mentioned twice on the Juggernaut model on how well it produced people, and he said, "Oh, it produces the most beautiful people you've ever seen," and he's mentioned us twice. And that's due to the Run Diffusion photo that we added. We had been working with another group. You may know them, Crystal Clear. Got to give them a shout out. Fantastic team to produce the Run Diffusion photo model. Anyway, research them. They're great. If anyone wants to go and take a look at some really good work, that team's fantastic. But anyway, so I was in. Where was I? I was in a Discord, I think, kind of showing some cool images of the Run Diffusion photo that we were working on. And then Candu reached out to me. He says, because we had been talking, candidly for, I think, 3 or 4 months before that. He says, "Hey, I saw you post some images of your model." He said, "I wonder what it would look like if we merged it." And I was like, well, I don't know if I'm going to release this. Can I trust you? He's like, yeah, you can trust me. So I immediately just sent him the weights. He did a merge, sent them back, and both of our jaws just dropped to the floor. It was unlike anything that was on Civitai at the time. Again, this was back in September, October, around Juggernaut 6.
Yep.
He says, we have to do a co-release. Like, we have to join forces here. And so I said, that sounds amazing. What if I just kept Run Diffusion Photo kind of back a little bit and we used it to merge into all of your iterations? And he says, this will make Juggernaut #1 in the world. And we just saw that vision back in September. Yep. And what's amazing is I think we accomplished that. I mean, Juggernaut's the most downloaded SDXL model, I think, in the world. I know there's some that are popping up, and we have a new version coming out soon. We'll talk about that in a minute. That is amazing. So, but yeah, that's how it started. And ever since then, Candu's just been part of the team. We've been part of his team. It's just been this awesome friendship that we just, when things just click, like you just finish each other's sentences and it just works so well that you just keep on having fun together, and it's turned into an adventure. And of course, Run Diffusion does generate, full transparency here. Run Diffusion does generate income based off of what we do, and Candu is able to, make some money on what he's doing, which is really important to us as well. That
absolutely,
again, he shouldn't have to work for free. If we're providing all this awesome value for people, let's find a way to monetize that. So we've kind of built this funnel to make sure Candu is taken care of, so he can, sustain a living. So it just worked so well, and we are excited to see where we go in the next half of this year.
Right.
And we plan on not slowing down. We plan on continuing this.
May I talk about that 1 second too? When you talked about the friendship, a lot of us were not making money on this to start with. We were all volunteers together, and we were just enjoying the company together. And we eventually found a way with Darren to monetize parts of it, because originally, like the first few models, there was not an income to be had. It was literally just a passion project for Candu, and it was a passion project for me because I was with Darren with the photo, Run Diffusion Photo 1 and 2. I was a model tester for that one as well for him. I did a little bit of model testing on that one, and those are all volunteer. It was just because we wanted to help the open source and try to get cool stuff out there, And so I think that transition of to monetize it was so that we could keep doing it, because we're at a point where we're getting offers now to to do other things. How can we keep doing this? We love doing this. We don't want to stop, but we got to pay bills.
Absolutely.
So we really, Candu and I know for me particularly, I really appreciate that Run Diffusion was able to help us, kind of pick up a little bit of that tab so that we could keep making these fun models for everybody and try to find a path to keep doing that, Otherwise, I would hate to see anyone have to stop doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Absolutely.
That was the other alternative is we kind of had this conversation. What happens if you guys, what happens if we can't monetize this? Like, what happens if you can't take care of your bills? The answer was we have to stop, and we just didn't want it to stop. So.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Yeah,
absolutely, definitely parallels with Civitai's kind of life path there as well. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So what I've got on screen right now is
the lights on.
Exactly, you have to. What I have on screen right now are some pictures that I've made using version 9 made on Civitai's generator. People, you talked about these phenomenal characters that you can make, the fidelity of real people in Run Diffusion is just unparalleled. Now, a lot of that is because of, you mentioned the Run Diffusion photo model version 1 and version 2. Can you tell me a little bit about, the significant advancements from the older versions up to today? You mentioned the change in captioning. What else has been going into this?
Right. So every model that we come out with, we try to add to the data set. Like some of the models we added cinematics, some of the models we added more faces. I think version 9, the one that you have up right now, is where we added a lot more cinematic images in the data set.
Okay.
I apologize though that I've looked at so many data sets, I might be misquoting,
Right.
so just fair warning. And so each model, we kind of add that extra layer on it to try to make it do a little bit more. And so I hope that answered that question.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I can kind of go into the tech a little bit about this. You have to understand that these models, they're only, they have to be 6-7 gigs. I mean, depending on if you've quantized them or whatever, but
Yep.
You only have 100% to work with. Okay.
Right.
And if you're going to introduce another 1,000 concepts with another 1,000,000 images, again, you only have 100% to work with. So when new concepts and new images and new data comes in, data has to go out.
Okay.
There's only so much room. So we knew that from day one. Run Diffusion has never been, we're always quality over quantity. Our original Run Diffusion photo model, I think, only had an additional 1,000 images that we added. But it was the technique and how we added them that made it so impactful. And we can discuss that if you'd like to go into it. But
absolutely, yeah,
with
please do.
Juggernaut, yeah, we like the concepts, but you have to understand that if you introduce 20, 30, 40 different lamps, for example, you're going to blow away what Stable Diffusion base thinks a lamp is. You have to be careful. You can see that in Pony. Pony's fantastic. We talk with the creator of Pony XL all the time, and what they've done is just an amazing model with their new clip and how they've done it. But Pony is so far away from base SDXL. If you prompt, a horse, you're going to get something very different than what base SDXL thinks a horse is.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's what I mean is you replace things. And so we never want to go to a point where we've replaced so much. Well, I guess unless it's all good, but you never want to get to a point where you start overwriting things and creating holes that you have to go back and fix. Because the goal is to, and a good example of this is something that we found recently is the concept of a cattail. A cattail, like next to a riverbank. Everyone knows what a cattail is. Yep. I don't know if there's even like an actual, biological word for it. I've always known them as cattails.
Yep.
I tried prompting in our latest version, cattails by a riverbank, yada, yada, yada. And I got a whole bunch of literal feline tails coming out of, and I'm going, wait a minute. I don't think Stable Diffusion knows what a cattail is. And so that was something that I'm going to talk to Adam and Can Do about and say, do we need to go patch this hole? That's something like, how do we fix this? Do we care? Is it a big deal?
Right.
And those are the things that we discover on a daily basis. English is a crazy language, and there's lots of anagrams and things that mean things. And it's important to make sure that your data going in is very clean and thought about. That way, when you caption, things come out the way you were expecting.
That's hilarious. Yeah, it's always fun. It's always fun when you find something in a model that doesn't quite produce what you're looking for. But
it's really fun.
It is. Yeah.
It's my favorite part of the job.
But that's the first time. The first time I've thought about it in a kind of a whole sense, like a gap sense. Usually, you try a different model and see how it reacts, but I've never really thought of it as something that you can actually replace or fix. Where it's something huge, cattails, I'm not sure how many people are going to be prompting for that, but if it was something huge, castles, something like that was producing the wrong images, that's something that you might patch.
Well, a common one that we test, we always try to test, for eyes and ears and nose and mouth, because, when you add in 100 new images of eyes, things can get skewed, so you always have to test, like the basics first, like, okay, does it have 5 fingers, or does it have 20 fingers? Does it have, 2 eyes or 3 eyes? Is a pupil? Like we start with these basic things first, and then we get a little bit more creative and with our prompting. Like I have like keywords that I always check: man, woman, and then we just slowly add on more into the prompting scheme until then we start testing things like Darren just did, cattails. Like how often will that come up? Well, cat comes up all the time. So I test cat every day because Twitter's got Catter Day where everyone's making cat SDXL images every Saturday. So I always, how's the fur? How's the fur? How are the paws? How are the tails? How are the ears? You got to test every little aspect of a model if you want to impress the community, because they have such high standards. So you got to really dig in on them. And so,
Hone in.
but then you find these like weird ones. You're like, did you know that if you type crying, it makes a screaming baby instead of a crying baby? You know that it's making a horror face instead of a smiley.
Right.
You have to you start to have to do like all these little weird stuff too. But that's the fun of it. That's my part on the team, because I really enjoy doing that stuff. I'm like addicted to it.
Sure.
But I think for other people it might sound tedious, but I think it's kind of fun use of language to try to find those little holes and like, oh, I broke the model again, guys. And
Fantastic. Now, in the same vein, now I've read a little bit about this, but I don't pretend to understand what it is or how it works. It's mentioned on the Juggernaut page, positive negative package merging. Darren, can you tell us a little bit what is that and what benefits?
Yeah.
What does it do for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is something got to give credit where credit's due. This is something that the Crystal Clear team kind of invented, I would say. But the way it works is you can basically train a LoRa on a concept. You can overtrain it, or you can purposely give it bad data, and then you can add that data to your model, or you can take it away using a negative merge. So the concept is you train packages, and then you use those packages to tweak your model.
Okay.
And this is how Run Diffusion Photo was built. So I'll give you an example. If anybody's ever trained a model, sometimes you get this weird artifacting in the eyes where your eyes become very swirly. And that is because you've trained data where you have your square and you have your people and maybe they're close up, and you have too many images in the same space and latent space where the eyeballs are in the exact same spot in that image. And so when you start training that in, you just start creating these like weird swirly eyeballs. Mm-hmm. And what you can do to fix that is you could purposely, and this is all theoretical until it's proven, but this is kind of like how it works, is you take the actual bad data, the generated data with the swirly eyeballs.
Yep.
You take that, grab maybe 30, 40 images, and you train that into your model and create a LoRa from it. And you caption it like swirly eyeballs or bad eyes or something you want to like capture, a token that probably doesn't exist. You don't want to overwrite anything. And then you create a LoRa from it, and then you take that LoRa and you negative merge into your model to pull that stuff out.
Oh, wow.
And it works. So you can do it with skin tone. You can overtrain like lighting. If something's too dark or too light, you can use LoRa's to kind of fine tune your models. And this is a secret I don't think we've told anybody, but we're moving into SD3, so let's just kind of give the community some fun stuff to kind of latch onto. But I don't know how LoRa's are going to work in SD3. We plan on trying the same techniques in the new architecture.
Sure.
But yeah, it's a really fun and unique way to kind of fix things. But oh my gosh, it's tedious. When it works well. When it doesn't work, it just destroys your entire model. So you have to like go back.
Oh yeah.
Or say, all right, scrap that. Let's try it again.
So this technique, how many model versions of Juggernaut? Is this a relatively recent thing that you've been doing, or has this been happening for a while?
No, this technique was used back in September, October, when we were working on Run Diffusion Photo version 1 and version 2. And you have to really you have to be very careful with it. Like sure. It's just to tweak things. You're not going to, add. You're not just going to like take pictures of eyeballs, like close-ups of eyeballs, right, and think that that's going to fix things. Like you actually have to fix the final result that after latent space goes to the decoder and boom, there's your image. That's what you have to fix. Gotcha. You can't, models don't work that way where you train a close-up of an eyeball and expect it to look the same way from a medium shot. It doesn't work that way. If you want to fix medium shots, you need medium shot data to fix it. But it's something that we've been doing for a bit, and it works really well.
Wow, I'm really fascinated. I'm gonna have to try it myself. I know that our own Brittany, she does positively merge her own LoRa's into some of her models, but I've never really thought about it from the negative perspective. That's fascinating.
Right.
Yeah, that's absolutely fascinating. I'm gonna have to test that out, and that's something that anyone can do with some of the tools.
We use, yeah, super merger in Auto 1111 is what we've used.
Yeah,
I know
absolutely.
that Koya now has some tools as well. I haven't really played
Yeah,
with them, but I'm sure it's possible.
I haven't either. I keep meaning to. I don't get my time
Yeah.
anymore. Time is the problem.
That's what I mean is you need time.
Time's
Like
valuable.
time is the biggest benefactor of this. If you have time, you can be a good model trainer because it's just trial and error and figuring out good places to start. Diffusion is like Plinko. You can start here.
Right.
Everybody knows what Plinko is. You can start here and end up over here
Right.
very easily because it's just that's how the neural network works.
Sure.
And same thing with training. You can run the same data set 5 times and get 5 very different models because it's just how it works. A little bit of luck, a lot of time, you can get a good model.
Yeah, absolutely. That's super interesting. Thanks for that. Makes a lot of sense. Now, before we talk about the future, one last thing I'd like to touch on. Adam, I think this is your space. So you have a great support system for the Juggernaut models. You've got, basic guides, advanced prompting guides that have a lot of insight into how the model's built and how to get the best images out of it. So, I mean, not to say it's not easy to get really awesome images out of Juggernaut without using the advanced prompting, but this one, for example, this is an older one using 7. Didn't follow any prompting guide, and I got fantastic images out of it. But if you do follow your prompting guides with some of the newer models, oh wow, what a difference! It's amazing. So, you tell us a little bit about the process that goes into making your guides, and just the whole support of Juggernaut, the community's support side of things. How do you?
Well, yeah.
Go ahead.
So before I started working with Run Diffusion, I worked for a private sponsor who was really supportive of me creating guides for the community. So I wrote a lot of guides for Run Diffusion as a volunteer for a lot of their other products and other services that they were offering. If someone was confused in the Discord chat, I would just write a guide because I had someone sponsoring me to do stuff like that.
Yep.
And I before I was into AI, I was actually a teacher for about 8 years. So I really like to kind of get that information out there to get the community that extra edge. And so when I was working with on the Juggernaut model with Candu and Darren, when we released Juggernaut X, there was a little bit of pushback, and I was like, what's going on here? And it didn't make sense to me at first. And I was like, well, when I first started with this model, it took me a little bit to get my flow with it, and because it was really designed for a professional.
Okay.
It wasn't designed, in my opinion, Juggernaut X is for professionals, people that want to do branding and logos and AI influencers and things like that, because you have absolute control over the image compared to version 9, which a simple prompt and boom, there's something just extremely beautiful very easily.
Okay. Yeah.
But a professional doesn't want the AI to do all the work. A professional says, I want the lamp over here. I want the flower here. I would like it to be a tulip. And I want the sunlight coming from the window on the right side. And so that's what we really, and I want to control the background, the foreground. And, that control, I think, was really important. And that's what Candu kind of like reworking the captioning system was kind of going for.
Okay.
And as soon as I got the hang of it, though, and kind of figured it out, I was like, oh, okay. There's that little bit of pushback, people saying, I don't understand the prompting. I was like, okay, I got you.
Right.
So I told Candu, just give me a week. And I spent a week putting all that, those 100 hours of prompt, testing, putting into a guide for you guys, because I wanted the community to be able to do what I could do with it. Because, you could tell me anything, I could prompt it up in a few seconds, And so I legit just put all that information into a guide. I mean, there's actually more that I want to put in the next guide for the next model as well. I'd like to keep doing this because I would like professionals to get their hands on this, because I think that's how we get mass adoption.
Yep.
When you got enterprise clients coming in saying, hey, I want to be able to do this every time. Okay, well, here's a system that you can do that. They need that reliability. And so a guide is a step towards them. And I know of some companies that actually have on their workflow my guide up now. And so that makes me happy. So I think that's a direction we need to go in when we release our models, because every single model prompts a little different. Because I've tested a lot of different models by a lot of different creators. Yep. And if they had someone on their team making guides for them, people would love their models more. Right. And it's about community support. And that's how you get it, I think, is showing them how to make what they want.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's definitely huge. Yeah, in the models that I've released, for sure, you can see which the models that do better are ones where people can actually get what they want out of it, and that comes from guides. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually there's this big thing right now with prompt alignment. Like you've got Ella, Lavi Bridge, and I know NVIDIA is working on Draft Plus. So prompt alignment works really well when you take your captions and you create an alignment method that when you caption with, a cat and then you talk about the background, that it restructures that prompt to match the captions that went into your training data.
Oh,
because then you can pull the better images out of it.
right. Yeah.
And that's kind of like a manual alignment method, and you can use that with you can do that with LLMs. You can do that with reinforced training, which is kind of what we're kind of working on with our next version that we'll talk about. But yeah, the prompting is so important. If you can hook into those tokens that you use to actually train the data, power just is unlocked. And that's why Pony's so good. That's why Pony works so well, is because they're using those little tokens like, up 9, up 8, things like that.
Yeah.
Because the moment you hit those tokens, you're zeroed into that space and latent space, and those images there in that space are all amazing.
Sure.
So that's how that works.
I wanted to add to that. That's why in the prompting guide, I went through our entire list of captions, and I pulled out the most common tokens. And if you look at the prompting guide at the very bottom, there's 100 most popular tokens. I put those there so people will put those in their prompts, because that will help you pull out that best image. So for example, one of the most common ones that I put in almost every prompt is high resolution. I know it, it doesn't, if you just put like back in the day, SD 1.5, we put like best quality, that was always in every prompt. We put that last set of data for X, we put high resolution in a lot of those images. And so if you just put that simple little token in there, or high resolution image, because there's 2 separate tokens, it'll bring up a different data set, and it'll really make that image pop a little more. So I made that list of 100 most common tokens that you could then look at and be like, okay, I'm making my prompt. Oh, I need that one. Let me pull that out and add it to my prompt to get that more beautiful image. That way you're not pulling out just
kind of how that's kind of how Pony works.
Yeah,
like we're kind of learning from Pony in what they're doing and making it a little bit more natural on the language part.
I was actually going to mention your token list at the end of the guide, because I did try that. I the first prompts I made didn't include any of those, or if they did, it was by mistake. But then when you actually use some of those specific tokens, you can see the difference in the outputs.
Right.
Huge difference. So that's gold. That's fantastic.
Yeah, and that's also when Camdo released his model, he put out the word map of all the captions, and that's where I got a lot of those words. I at first I was like, just let me look at the data, and I pulled it out directly out of the data. I ran a script through it and kind of feed it. I didn't use all the tokens, of course. I just used the top 100. I didn't want to overwhelm people, but I think that was enough to get people going. And now people, I think, are really enjoying the model a lot. I mean, obviously.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. One more thing I want to talk about is the Run Diffusion safe system. Now, anyone who's been following Civitai for a while knows that we've had lots of conversations about responsible use and ethical use of models. We've embraced a system called SPM for concept replacement in the generator. We've got a slightly different use case than you guys, but you have a system called SAFE on Run Diffusion. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and about ethics and responsibility in these models?
Yes, I think that this aligns with what I was mentioning earlier about wanting this to be adopted by more professional people and trying to get it out there for the wider community. Is by creating 2 models, because we, as you know, we have the not safe for work model and the safe model. We want to reward the hobbyists and the community for supporting us for so long, and so we released that model. But we also wanted a model that professionals could use at home, so that, families around, you're eating dinner, you're working with your family, or you're at your company and you're working together, or maybe your child's at school and they're using it. We want to give a model that can be used by everyone. That's, safe for work. That's why Darren came up with the term safe. And so that was the point of that, is that we want mass adoption. We want professionals to use it, because as I said before, I truly believe that prompting system is made for professionals. But the only way a professional is going to use it at their company is if it's safe to be used at work.
Absolutely.
And Darren might have more to add on that.
Yeah, no, I think you hit perfectly. this kind of is going to roll into a question, Ellie, that you'll probably answer, or maybe we skipped it because we just got excited and kept going. But
It could be the case, yeah.
Yeah, what's the future like? What does the future look like in releasing in SD3 in stability AI guys? Like they need to make money. Like we're not going to have open source models if they aren't profitable, and so like they yeah, like that's the reality. But the community still wants their creative freedom. How does everybody become happy? And we're trying to figure this out. So a thought that we had was we say, okay, what do professionals want? Adam touched on that. Professionals want safe models so they can use them in school, work, etc. And the community wants creative freedom. Cool. Let's make 2 versions. Like, what's wrong with that? Why can't we just make 2 versions?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we approached Candy with this idea, and he says, love it, thumbs up. He made 2 versions. Now, our safe version is a derivative of the Juggernaut data set, so it does have more nudity than SDXL would have, just slightly. But it's not like in your face, like X would be. You could just prompt woman, and you might get not what you want.
Right, yeah.
So, or you get what you want, depending on your what you want. So, but yeah, so the goal, what I think, I'm not a fortune teller, I don't have a crystal ball, but my thinking is that there's going to be a lot of dual releases where the community gets what they want and the businesses get what they want, or the professionals get what they want. And we want to be we want to do that as well. We want to be alongside that. And we're working on like, what is the separation? Most community models don't really need top tier prompt adherence, for example. So we're working on bringing our prompt adherence up to the next level and allowing professionals, because they really I want this here, that there, blue hat, green shirt, red shoes. They want all of that to be in the model, so we're focusing on that. Most of the community they just want their image. They want it to look good, so they want more. The community wants more more concepts, more like broader spectrum of things that they can generate, and they want support in the tools like control nets and open pose. They want those. So yeah, we're trying to do this like kind of dual release. Now that's a challenge, obviously, because we just doubled our workload.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Twice, So that's tough.
Twice the testing, twice the development. Yeah, huge
Twice the
undertaking.
training.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, training
Got
costs.
a lot under his belt.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So that's where our thoughts are with the safe, because professionals are willing to pay a little bit to get some of those safety things, and and that's where we're headed, we think, and future will tell. We're not completely decided. Our greatest superpower is the ability to pivot, and we've done that many times. And we're going to go where the community goes, and where stability AI takes us, we're focusing on them. And if stability AI goes a different direction that we're not super happy with, there's other technologies that we're looking into. Other what PixArt, we're kind of dabbling into that a little bit, and we'll always have something to offer, regardless of as long as there's base tools out there. And yes, we've been approached to do a completely like full base level foundational model as well. And that's not out of the question. That's just very expensive.
Exactly. Expense and time. But that's fantastic. Yeah. So talking
There are
about
a lot of options right now.
Yeah.
That's great. That's fantastic. Absolutely. So the future. Yeah. So this is an exciting week for us all. The 12th. That's when Stable Diffusion 3 drops. There's still so much that we don't know about it, unfortunately. We had the white paper come out, a few months ago. But in terms of the tooling for it, for loader training, for fine tunes, what sort of hardware we're going to need to actually do that, we've got no clue. It's we've read some on Twitter from some stability employees, but that's as much as we know. So I think that's going to be. Exactly. It's going to be exciting times trying to, I remember when SDXL dropped and we were all kind of, scurrying around trying to find out, how do we train it? How do we run on it?
Yeah.
So I'm expecting that again, this, end of this week. Super exciting though. A lot more options for us.
it is exciting, but you never know where AI technology is going to go. I
Right.
mean, we have stability, but the other platforms as well have coming out with some really cool models right now as well.
Yeah, that's true.
That
Yeah.
we're looking at a lot of things actually. We've been talking about behind the scenes, like which one are we going to do next, guys? Like,
Hmm.
so I don't want to say like we're going to do that. We don't
Right.
know because AI moves like at light speed. Like what's cool this week may not be in 2 weeks. It's
Hmm.
like, so sometimes you just got to pivot. And so
Oh yeah.
we're kind of in talks internally, trying to figure out like what we would like to do. We're keeping our options open though. So let's see what they drop. Let's look over what they are offering for fine tuners and
Hmm.
trainers, and then go from there.
Yeah, that's the best way to be, I'm sure, because there's anyone who's been in this industry for a couple of months has seen how quickly things change. You have to really
So fast.
maintain that dynamic movement to be able to give the community what they want.
I always remind people, look at AI a year ago.
Oh yeah.
And then, look at the difference between ST 1.5 and what we're doing right now with STXL models, like off the board. I mean, it's just
Right.
unreal. And when I try to imagine like where we're going to be like next month or a year from now, with AI, you really can't do
You
that.
can't.
You
Yeah.
just can't.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what control net's coming out. You don't know what's coming. Like
Right.
things change so quickly around here. It's just like, okay, next month we're gonna pivot. That's all I know.
Right. Yeah, one of the fun things I think we all like to do, you mentioned remembering your first prompt, remembering your first images. Think about the images that we were making a year ago and how awesome we thought they were. We thought, this is the most amazing thing. I'll never be able to top this. Great artworks. And then look where we are now. There's no comparison. So the future's just super exciting. And speaking of, you guys have got models in the pipe. On your socials,
Oh yeah,
you have been showing off some prototype prompts or images. Let me pull these up real quick. Let me switch back scenes here. So on your official socials, I'm going to paste these into the Twitch chat. Here's the Juggernaut.
Yeah, we have two socials. Juggernaut, the Juggernaut team has their own.
Yep.
The Juggernaut team is going to post more prompts, take prompt requests, show just like beauty. The Run Diffusion side is going to be more technical, more comparative. The Juggernaut team does not like comparing Juggernaut to other models.
Okay,
Because
yeah.
that's like
No, we don't.
comparing, my computer to a Dell or a Mac to a Dell. Like they're different architectures, they're different data that goes inside. And one prompt is going to win over there's always going to be pros and cons. So we don't like doing that. We only like comparing to what we've done because we feel like that's just the most honest way to compare.
Sure.
Yeah, we're in our own little box here. So yeah, our prototype is very unique. It's we're going to be reaching out to the focus team. Our current model does not work in focus with their styles. It just overbakes everything and blows it apart because we are retraining the entire clip to basically what we're coining as prompt alignment or model alignment through reinforced training. And what that means is we're kind of, how I said we have 100% to work with? Clip works the same way, or the text encoder works the same way. You only have 75 tokens to play with, and so we're trying to go in and like really set in exactly what we're trying to say to get the images that you want. And that we're doing that with the help of GPT, of GPT-4, where everything is programmatically decided by an algorithm to caption, and we retain that programmatic schema or data model to ensure that there are no mistakes in captioning. And the best way I can explain this is if I sat a toddler down and I put lamps on the table. I have 10 lamps in front of them. One lamp is a modern LED lamp. They're all lamps. The other one's a old-fashioned pull down the little chain to turn it on. The other one you clap to turn it on. You have 15 different lamps.
Right.
As soon as I put a banana right there and call that a lamp, I've just blown apart that person's understanding of what a lamp is. One little tiny mistake in your captioning can destroy your results so quickly, and that's
Sure.
what we've noticed. So good data in, good data out. That's our mentality. So if we go in and we say, if we keep this structured schema of what does the background look like, what's to the left of the subject, what's in the foreground, and we align the model that way, again, we're aligning it through reinforced training. There are ways to align model like Ella, Lavi Bridge. There's other ones. And we're looking into maybe doing both to see if we can get our prompt adherence through the roof. But the new prototype model prompt adherence is absolutely fantastic, all the way to the point that it breaks focus. So we got to figure that out before we really decide how to get this out to people. But yeah, all of those images are being shared on our socials. Juggernaut would love some new followers. If that's the best way that we can communicate what we're doing with this new model, especially with SD3 right around the corner. So we don't know how this is going to fit in yet. And follow our socials, and then you'll know.
Sure. Now, in that same vein, we've seen these awesome prototype images. It doesn't really have a name yet. It's still prototype. There's no release dates. There's no information on any of that yet. It's all still to be determined.
Yeah, we're unclear. There's still work to be done, so there's no rush.
Sure.
But yeah, we don't know. We got to see what happens with SD3 and do some comparisons. We have done comparisons against the SD3 weights that were behind their API, and the new prototype is really good, very close.
Awesome.
Close to it. So,
awesome.
But I know that that's not finalized either. So I don't want to say that it's going to be better than SD3. Right. We're not making that promise at all.
Sure. Yeah, that's exciting though. But also for people who've never used this before, don't say to yourself, okay, I'm going to wait for the next version. The versions that we have, the current version is just phenomenal. So good. So if you're out there and you've never used the Juggernaut model before, please come to the website. You can download it from us. Latest versions are just so good, so good. So definitely
use the scroll down and show everybody the prompt maker. If you're going to use Juggernaut X, you've got to read the prompt. You're not going to like it if you don't prompt it the way that we captioned and built it. So make sure that
I would. Oh, sorry, Darren.
Yep.
What I would recommend, so the people that are just coming on to Juggernaut for the very first time, and you just want to see a pretty image, I always recommend version 9 just to get your fingers wet. Just to you can type in something simple, get it really beautiful. If you really want to take control of the model and really make what you're imagining, that's when you move to JugX and read that prompt guide, and it'll really set you on the path to success. So,
and you can do something really fancy called a multimodal approach. You hear this multimodal. What that means is you're using 2 models to get your final image. But you can use Juggernaut X to get your composition, your colors, your prompt adherence just to another level above, and then you can do an image-to-image pass or a control-net pass with version 9 to get you some better contrast, better sharpness, better colors, better. So that's multimodal. I mean, that's what you can do it at home.
Yeah, I think that's actually that's an interesting. I hadn't really thought of doing that, to kind of image to image, low denoise to.
And I don't
totally.
And I'll say though, when the next model comes out, I don't think you're going to need to do that pass.
Yeah.
I think that it's personally, if you look at the comparisons, I think it's a much stronger model than version 9. I know a lot of people are super fans of version 9 because it has a larger data set, because we rebuilt that whole captioning with JugX. And so some people are still really hardcore fans of version 9.
Yeah, there's definitely.
But I will say with the next one, better than version 9, and it has that prompt adherence of the X. So I love it. It's my favorite model right now. I use it every day.
Wow. Yeah, I don't blame you. It's very, very good. Very good. Yeah. So awesome. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you joining. Anything else you want to add? Anything else that we've missed?
I just want to say, you guys, something you could add to, Candu, like I said, he's a bit more shy. He wasn't comfortable to come on here with everybody. But please give him some love, guys. This guy has put so much love into these models that, and he's just a good friend. I mean, Darren and I are both really close friends with him. I talk to him every day. So please, if you can, show him some love on the socials. If you like his models, let him know that you used it. Tell him you appreciate him, because he deserves that. I mean,
Oh,
for all the work he's doing, he does deserve a little appreciation for that. So, and
Absolutely.
if you post on the Twitter, I get those messages.
okay.
But anything that you say to Candu, I always relay it to him in the team chat. So if you ever have something you want to pass along, I'm more than happy to do that for you. If you have prompts that you want us to try, send them over to me, guys. I love getting those requests from you. So I just wanted to add that little tidbit on there too, if we can do.
That's great. Yeah, absolutely. So huge shout out to all of you all, but yeah, especially Candu for actually
Absolutely.
bringing this to us and making it a reality. Yep, fantastic. All right, guys, I'm going to post I've posted your socials in the
Thank you.
Twitch. I'm going to post. You've got a community Discord as well. That's quite popular. You've got 30,000 members almost. I think.
I think we're 24, 25. Yeah.
Getting close. Yeah. And you mentioned in there that you're experts in the interfaces. And obviously having them hosted. So
We know him well. Yeah, almost
Yeah.
too well. Like, something doesn't work and we got to just start tearing things open and fixing stuff. So
right.
yeah, we do have a very active Discord. Really the biggest purpose of our Discord is to help with these open source tools,
Okay.
Automatic 1111, Comfy, Focus. We have channels open with most all of the development teams, with the exception of Focus. We want to work on that, especially with our new model coming up. But yeah, jump in. We offer, you don't have to be a customer of ours to get some help. You can just say, hey, I've got a local install. I'm running into this problem. We can probably figure, we've seen it all, really. And if you want to get started, we have some tutorials that you can that are focused solely for certain workflows, or tutorials that are focused solely on certain tools. And then if you want to level that up a little bit, we do have like a services arm that we can work with you, where you can get access to our team, where we can come in and walk you through stuff. But that's more of a paid thing, and we won't, that's only for certain people out.
Sure.
Obviously.
So, can add on there too. I love prompt challenges, because that's how I get better myself as a prompt engineer. So we actually, in the Discord, we have a place there for people if they have trouble with prompts, to need help, so tips, tricks, that kind of stuff.
Awesome.
Bring me your puzzles. I love trying to solve them for the team. That's one of my favorite things to do. So
Awesome.
if you hop on the Discord, don't forget to utilize that resource.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
and we announce all sorts of new stuff in the Discord as well, along with the socials. And from a platform perspective, we have some cool stuff coming. We are working on getting Almost added. Almost is the new kind of UI that uses a multimodal LLM approach to kind of align. It's that prompt alignment, that model alignment process. You can kind of see how it works in the code, which is really exciting to see that kind of in your face there. And it generates some really amazing images. And we're getting that added here pretty soon, along with some other surprises that are in the next month or two. So we're very active. Hop in there, no obligation. You don't have to be a customer of ours. We just love to have you in.
Awesome. Well, the future is super exciting for both Juggernaut and Run Diffusion. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate you joining, and hopefully we can catch up a few weeks in the future when things have moved along a little bit. When SD3's dropped, the prototype has come on a little bit, and we can see where it's taking you guys. But thank you so much.
Awesome.
I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks. Okay. Viewers, thank you, Twitch. I appreciate you guys. It's been awesome for you to all come and join us. We've got 700 viewers right now. Thanks very much for jumping on the stream. Sorry that office hours was gone today. We just couldn't fit everything in. And I hope you join us next time. The next stream is Friday, I believe. We have Tyler, and I think he has a guest, but I'm not entirely sure. So check the Twitch schedule down below for the next guest stream. Wednesday will be the next office hours with me, and I will try and bring you the next guest information there. So this was great. Thank you very much to Darren and Adam. I am a huge fan of Juggernaut, as you can tell, huge fanboy. So this was just fantastic to be able to meet these guys.
Candu's probably watching. I don't know.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
I hope he
fantastic.
is.
Hopefully.
Awesome.
And thanks for having us. Yeah, this
You're
has
welcome.
been a great
Yeah.
opportunity. Candu really wanted to be heard. There's probably more we can talk about, later with how licensing is all going to work and
Yeah.
how creators are going to be, fitting in here.
Sure.
We don't know that. We're leading the conversation. We do have some meetings with some, key companies that you can probably guess.
Sure.
That we can try and figure this out together. Everybody wants the same thing. We just want cool pictures at the end of the day. And
We do.
there's a
Yeah.
lot of different ways to get there.
Absolutely. We
So.
do. All right. Thank you. Appreciate it, guys. I will catch you on Wednesday.
Thank you.
Thanks again to Darren and Adam. We'll see you all soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah.